Giribaradari Jaya Giribaradari Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Jamuna Tiravanachare Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jai Srila Prabhupada Gantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajika Cha Jasto Tarasata Shishiman Abhaicha Naravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Founder Charya BBT Founder Charya Srila Prabhupada ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajika Charya Asto Tarasata Shishiman Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhana ki jai. Shri Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Nilachal Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham ki Ganga Mai Jamuna Mai ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani ki Samaveta Bhaktavinda ki jai. Yuga Dhamma Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the seven devotees. All glories to the seven devotees. All glories to the seven devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the third canto, chapter 31, entitled The Movements of the Living Entities. Text 43. Dehena jiva bhutena Loka lokam anuvrajan Bunjana eva kamani Karota viratam puman Dehena jiva bhutena Loka lokam anuvrajan Bunjana eva kamani Karoti aviratam puman Dena jiva bhutena Loka lokam anuvrajan Bunjana eva karmani Karoti aviratam puman. Messages. Dehena, on account of the body. Jiva bhutena, possessed by the living entity. Lokat, from one planet. Lokam, to another planet. Anuvrajan, wandering. Bunjanaha, enjoying. Eva, so. Karmani, fruitive activities. Karoti, he does. Aviratam, incessantly. Puman, the living entity. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Due to his particular type of body, the materialistic living entity wanders from one planet to another, following fruitive activities. In this way, he involves himself in fruitive activities and enjoys the result incessantly. purport. When the living entity is encaged in the material body, he is called Jiva Bhuta. And when he is free from the material body, he is called Brahma Bhuta. By changing his material body birth after birth, he travels not only in the different species of life, but also from one planet to another. Lord Chaitanya says that the living entities, bound up by fruitive activities, are wandering in this way throughout the whole universe. And if by some chance or by pious activities they get in touch with the bona fide spiritual master, by the grace of Krishna, then they get the seed of devotional service. After getting this seed, if one sows it within his heart and pours water on it by hearing and chanting, the seed grows into a big plant, and there are fruits and flowers which the living entity can enjoy, even in this material world. That is called the Brahma Bhuta stage. In his designated condition, a living entity is called materialistic, and upon being freed from all designations, when he is fully Krishna conscious, engaged in devotional service, he is called liberated. Unless one gets the opportunity to associate with the bona fide spiritual master, by the grace of the Lord, there is no possibility of one's liberation from the cycle of birth and death in the different species of life and through the different grades of planets. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langaite Girim Yat Kripa Tamham Vande Shigurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hare Krishna. So I'd really like to offer my humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas, especially all the senior devotees, Prabhupada disciples, begging their blessings so that we may say something which is beneficial from the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm very happy to be in Los Angeles again at the lotus feet of Shri Rukmini Dwarkadish, Gauranitai, Jagannath Baladev and Subhadra. I was fortunate to come many years ago here in 2016 with His Holiness Bhakti Swami, my spiritual master. They had a glorious service. His disciples, under his supervision, they had some service with the deities, some gold plating. And we were accompanying the spiritual master, and by good fortune, we had the darshan of the deities and the devotees. So I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa, and I've just been in the United States for a few weeks. I generally come in the summer. And because of some relationships with some devotees here, I thought before heading out to Johannesburg from San Diego, I could come and get some blessings from all of you. Hare Krishna. Movements of the living entities. This is a very exciting chapter, depending on who you are. And feeling fortunate that I am speaking when things are cooling down. I'm a new sannyasi, and sometimes it's a challenge to speak on certain matters. The chapter began with sober understanding given by Kapila Muni of how the living entity gets his material body. Kamana deva netrena jantu deho papataye pumsa pravishta udaram or striya pravishta udaram pumsa kanaritaya. That by the supervision of the Supreme Lord or divine vision and based on the karma, the results of one's activities, then the living being is placed within a particular womb to begin a term of activities. And it's been described very vividly what happens within the womb, how the living being develops their body. And in today's verse we are hearing how that body influences that living being. So we are incarcerated within this material body. This incarceration means that we are limited in our abilities to fulfill our desires. We're limited in our movements. We're limited even in our enjoyment. Srila Prabhupada would underscore this point that no matter how wealthy one becomes, how much can he eat? How many chapatis can you eat? The stomach is a particular size, and if you try to go beyond its capacity, then one suffers. So the material body is the vehicle with which we try to enjoy, and also it is the vehicle that the living being experiences suffering in this world. My spiritual master, I like to give the example of the pinky finger. How much pleasure could we give to this pinky finger? We can do a quick brainstorm. Prabhu, what would you do to enjoy this finger? Blank. Yes, so attentively, here's the question. What would you do to try and make this finger enjoy some pleasure? Rub it a little bit and not too hard. Yourself. Very creative. Yes. Anyone else? Yes, Baba. We're just focusing on the pinky. Yeah, what would you do? Okay, it's one way. In the winter, what would you do? Yeah, put some warm gloves or something. I was elsewhere, someone said dip it in chocolate fudge and whatever, you know. Because we're getting creative. Then on the other side, the question is, what would we do to give this finger pain? Yeah, cut it. Your door example, bang it against the door. Any other creative ways? Animal's mouth to sort of crunch on it. Devotees are non-violent, huh? No one's forthcoming. You could shred it. Yeah, you could cook it. Put some acid on it. Okay, I guess I'm the non-Brahmana here who's got all the violent ideas. But I've always asked people this question, so I've got a database of the things they say. So this is to say, if you take any part of the material body, you'll find that there is fewer ways to give it pleasure than there is ways to give it suffering, which says that it is primed to handle suffering more than to give pleasure. And this material body is also, in another sense, prime real estate. There's 8.4 million species of life, and to be in the human form of life is very rare. It's like 5% of all those species is the human form. And when this human body, under direction of a bona fide spiritual master, is engaged, as Prabhu was saying, in the service of the Supreme Lord, then it becomes a vehicle for the liberation of the embodied soul. And this is the most important aspect of being a human being. That there's this opportunity to transcend the modes of nature, to get out of our incarceration, to enter into the realm of real enjoyment in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada begins by designating the living being in conditioned life, he says, is known as Jiva Bhuta. So Bhakti Shastri's what verse is there with Jiva Bhuta? Starts with Mama. Oh, you withdrawing your hand? Okay. Yes, Mama Vangsa Jiva. Mama Vangsa Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Manasastani. So within that sloka, Lord Krishna is identifying us as his parts and parcels. This is our claim to glory. We are tiny parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. However, Krishna is saying that there is a problem. Manasastani Indriyani Prakriti Stani Kashati. This material nature known as Prakriti, it's a stani. It's a fortress. And within that fortress, there's some difficulties, Kashati. What's the source of those difficulties? It is the mind and the senses. When the living being tries to enjoy this world through his senses, especially the chief sense, the mind, he finds difficulties. Because material nature is not for us to enjoy, but material nature is paraphernalia for us to offer back to the Supreme Lord. Ekale Ishwara Krishna Arasaba Bhritya. Krishna is the supreme controller and master of everyone. Everyone is his servant. When we deviate from this position of serving the Lord and try to be the master of material nature, we become entangled in material nature. When the living being comes to the stage called Brahmabhuta, then Brahmabhuta prasanatma nasochati nakangshati samasavesu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. Brahmabhuta is identifying himself with the spiritual nature. Sometimes it can be a deviant or an incomplete philosophy. I'm one with Brahman, or aspiring to merge into the Supreme. But when one understands, I am the soul, spiritual by nature, then he's freed from the bodily conception, which carries many designations and sufferings. Sometimes people are suffering their whole life just because maybe they don't like their nose. You know, you just got a nose problem your whole life, you're suffering because you identify with this nose. So Brahmabhuta means no more lamenting, no more hankering. And then becomes endowed with equal vision. You're able to see equally all living beings, that they are all spiritual sparks, part and parcel of Krishna. And then that stage, it is said, devotional service begins in earnest. So, conditioned and the stage of liberation. So I wanted to look at what is it that is actually going on with the living entity that takes him through different species, different planets. It's here mentioned that he's following fruitive activities. He's chasing some fruit to enjoy. In the 13th chapter, it's discussed there that the living entity trying to enjoy material nature, he becomes caught up with that material nature. And then, karanam gunasangasyo sadasat janmasu. That because of trying to enjoy material nature, he gets caught. And because he's caught in material nature, the good and the bad, then he's put in a body, in a womb, yoni. The material nature means three gunas. How is this bhungte, this desire to enjoy, entangle him? If he's trying to enjoy something in goodness, would be what? Srila Prabhupada was taking a walk, I think here in California somewhere, with his disciples. And one disciple was saying to Prabhupada, "Oh Prabhupada, just see what a beautiful sunset." And Prabhupada said, as long as you think this sunset is beautiful, is as long you'll stay in this material world. You cannot really know the mind of the pure devotee where it'll go. Definitely some other time Prabhupada would have said, "Oh yes, this is all Krishna's energy and this is just a spark of Krishna's splendor." But the spiritual master understands the mind of the disciple to protect him from some over-familiarity, hanging out with Gurudev, walking at the beach, just check out a beautiful sunset. Prabhupada, just see how beautiful it is. And Guru to protect him, rascal, as long as you think this sunset is beautiful, is as long as you stay here to see many more sunsets. Yes. So trying to enjoy the mode of goodness, one becomes caught up. You become sunset yogi. So trying to enjoy the mode of passion, then the modes of nature, they can shape beautiful bodies, as we've been hearing. Beautiful body of a woman, handsome body of a San Diego surfer, They're like out there trying to really enjoy. I saw a couple of guys. Weather was still not good for them, But we become attracted, and trying to enjoy these bodies, that we get caught up. Just like a child is trying to play with the spider's web. Initially it's exciting, then later on it's all over him. He can't get it off, he's struggling, he's crying. Trying to enjoy ignorance, the modes can present what they call drinks. We had very nice drinks. Alcohol. It's very well advertised. You find huge billboards. I always say like that, as if it will save mankind. Don't drive past this cure for cancer, But no, this is something which will addict the living entity to false enjoyment. And then instead of so-called enjoying, they are suffering due to addiction. So the seed of the entanglement is this desire to enjoy what? The gunas, the material nature. And in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it said this seed then manifests as this whole tree of the material universe. And you're trying to go for it. And 16th chapter of the Gita is discussing divine and demonic nature. So on this tree of material existence, there are many branches with many fruits. Some of them are giving sat, some asat, good and bad fruits. And therefore by eating too much of the bad fruits, then one develops this demonic nature. He's greedy, he's lusty, wants to enjoy at any cost. He even performs so-called pious activities just in name only, just to increase their reputation in this material world. Therefore, they become atheistic and their endeavors for fruitive activities are spoiled, their hopes for liberation dashed. It's an entanglement. Material existence means becoming entangled. And the difficulty is that there is some pleasure in this material world. There is enjoyment. Definitely. Otherwise, people would not be working very hard if there was nothing. But the very enjoyment that one experiences, whether in some goodness, passion, or ignorance, implicates one in becoming greedy more and more for it. If we get smashed when we try to enjoy, then at least we become angry and we may get frustrated. What happened to the jackal? He saw that the monkeys were enjoying some grapes. And he came and he tried to jump and get some grapes, but he couldn't reach the vine. Then he philosophized, anyway, these grapes are all sour. I saved myself. So sometimes, as Prabhupada said, that others are lamenting, I have not enjoyed, I didn't get the laddu, they are suffering. And others, they ate too much laddu, they are also lamenting suffering too much. So this material world is always giving us hope that somehow or the other we will fulfill our heart's desire. However, the Bhagavatam, being Krishna himself, is very merciful, that it is there to break this illusion, to break the faith that material nature will produce ananda, by giving us the truth of what happens when we try to act as separate enjoyers, and also what happens when we try to serve Krishna. It's two different results are there. What will help us, what will save us, is if we contact the pure devotee, the representative of the Lord. And under their expert guidance, they can channel us through this maze of material existence. And they can connect us to the current of devotional service, to the current of mercy coming down in disciplic succession. So it's not an easy ride. It's a long journey. Therefore, Srila Rupa Goswami says one must be enthusiastic. How you get that enthusiasm? Surround yourselves with those who are enthusiastic. Different devotees are expert and enthusiastic in different aspects of devotional service. So we should try to partner up with those devotees who are especially enthusiastic in areas where we may be struggling. The devotee must be confident that this path has been traversed by the great acharyas. It is prescribed by the Supreme Lord himself. And so when we are confident, we can put gas on the pedal, we can step on it, because we know we're going in the right direction. And while we're doing that, Srila Rupa Goswami said we have to be patient also, because we cannot gate crash the spiritual world. We cannot bum rush Krishna and say, let me in, I've been chanting here for 2 years. What is this? Generally, this is the thought. In the beginning, I remember as a student, we saw the book, The Science of Self-Realization. And we thought, okay, they're going to teach us a technique. And in a month's time, we'll be big, famous yogis reading minds and levitating, or, just at our own speculation what would happen. But when we associated with the devotees, we heard things like, only by the causeless mercy of the Lord. It's like, causeless mercy. Then there's nothing that I can really do per se. We thought we're just going to follow the formula and bang. Yes, there are things to do, but it's not that it's a mechanical process. I've followed the rules and therefore Krishna give me my lot. No. It's a relationship that we're trying to develop with the Supreme Lord, and He reserves the right to reveal Himself. So as we approach the Lord day after day, chanting His holy name, fighting the mind who's trying to go here and there, we are like persons who are knocking at a door. And our knocking is what may trigger the person inside the house to open the door for us. So if we are knocking at the house of devotional service, at the house of Krishna Prema, then it is up to Krishna and His confidential servants whether they want to open the door or not. But we don't become frustrated and angry and then sulking or run off. I've been knocking and nobody opened. No. Patiently, we knock at the door. And it is in this attitude where we've become humble and we are executing the process as given by the acharyas, where we can somehow or the other attract some mercy. Some Vaishnava sees, oh, Sarvajn Prabhu has been knocking at this door for so many years. He's rendering so much service to his spiritual master and the devotees. Just let him in, let him in. And he gets even more mercy than already has been received through devotional service. That goes beyond Brahmabhuta. This is now the different levels of attainment in devotional service. This is the Anandam Buddhivardhanam. The different mellows of relationships that are there, they get sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. And this is our aspiration. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada mentions here, by the mercy of Krishna, one contacts the Guru, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Paya Bhakti Lata Beach. Krishna's mercy has brought us somehow at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and his followers. And the seed of devotional service has been planted so that Kripa must be watered. It said, Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kabunai, Shravanadi Shuddha Chitta Koroya Udai. We watered the seed of devotion by the process of hearing and chanting and remembering and serving the Lord, etc. However, the seed of material desire is watered by associating with the modes of nature. And we want to cut this tree of material existence by practice and detachment. Therefore, the process of sadhana bhakti, chanting the holy name, chanting is the practice, it is the goal, it is everything for the bhakta. Therefore, overdose, dear devotees, on hearing and chanting. There are no side effects. If you become a little mad and laughing and running, actually, Lord Chaitanya, he got those results. And he went to check with his guru. You gave me this mantra, I'm chanting, now I'm becoming pagal, mad. What's going on? And the guru was saying, very happy, you have perfected the chanting, you have gotten the fruit. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya, when he came back from Gaya, and he was now in the mood of a devotee, he was approaching all the devotees, asking them, where is Krishna, where is Krishna? The son of Nanda Maharaj. And he was shedding tears. And sometimes he was laughing and rolling on the ground, and Sachimata was worried. What has happened to Nimai? Different people came to give solutions. No, give him just green coconut water, let him drink that. He's going to settle down, his life is disturbed. He probably has some madness that was there with him, it has come up. Others said, no, just tie him hands and legs. He'll cool down this madness. And Matasachi was worried. But when Shiva's Thakur came to visit, she immediately consulted with him. What is going on with Nimai? What should we do? And Shiva's Thakur said, oh, Sachimata, do not worry your beautiful heart. Nimai is showing ecstatic symptoms of love of Krishna. You are so fortunate your son has attained such a state. And Nimai, having heard the words of Shiva's Thakur, he had asked him also, everyone's worried, what's my situation, what's to happen? Shiva said, I desire to get this disease that you have. You are so fortunate. And Nimai said, oh Shivas, that you have confirmed that I am not mad, that you have said this and is actually the desired condition. You have conquered my heart. If you had said I was similarly mad like everyone else and needed to be constrained, then I would have simply left Navadvip. So there's a disease that we want. It is the disease of unalloyed, complete enchantment and absorption in Krishna. It is all depending on the mercy of the Lord and the devotees. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Premanande Harivam. Are there any complaints, chastisements? Okay.
Thank you, Maharaj, for the class. Regarding that one point that you were discussing, kind of ending on the mercy of the spiritual master, and the purport saying, Prabhupada saying, by some way one gets in touch with a bona fide spiritual master, which is equivalent to getting the mercy. He says it could happen by chance or by pious activities. I don't really understand that. Like, how can you get the mercy by just chance or by pious activities? Like, what's the difference in that?
Yeah. One side is that by performing the pious activities, following some sort of cultured life or some regulative principles, then you may find yourself meeting such persons who are also similarly engaged in pious life. Say you go to the dam just to shed some karma, and then in the dam you find all saintly persons, and by their association you get some mercy. Chances means that sometimes the devotees, they take a liking to somebody and they can just bestow upon you some undeserved mercy. It's just like perfecting our practice. Sometimes there's what is known as sadhana siddhas. They've performed all the duties, followed the sadhanas, and then perfection comes. Others, kripa siddhi. Like say a harinam, such a thing. We go past and people are sitting at the restaurants crunching on whatever they are crunching on, and there comes the devotee, chanting Hare Krishna. They cannot really shut their ears. They're always open. They get to hear the name. They get some piety, some bhakti, piety. Sometimes a devotee like Mahavishnu Swami, my obeisance is at his divine lotus feet. sticks a card in your face. You know, his eyes are not so good, so he can't see clearly. So he comes up close to the people and he sticks the mic and sticks the card. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And then he may even grab your arm and start doing the twirl. So, you know, the people were out just doing whatever. One guy was having his ice cream when the sadhu just grabbed him, you know, stuck the card, started spinning around with him. So it's hard for us to see what that person did to deserve that. And they may also say, I was just walking, you know, you were just at the beach on your birthday. And somehow devotees come. Yeah, so. Yeah, the mercy somehow comes either way. We can say by chance or the other category. Because one is cultivating mode of goodness, is being pious, it may lead to this kind of attainment. Any other thoughts? Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna.